Hey guys, it's Miss Reed. Today is Tuesday, April 17th. When you open Google Classroom today, you'll see it says CKLA Unit 5 Geology, Lesson 2-3. We're kind of combining two lessons into one, so it may take you a little longer to complete as long as it is done by the end of the week. In addition to all of your other ELA assignments for this week, you should be fine. So, you're going to first open up the Google Slides presentation. It looks like this in the classroom. So again, this is This is Geology Lessons 2 and 3. Review what's geology, the study of the Earth's characteristics, what it's made of, and the forces and processes that shape and change it. These are your lesson objectives for today. Before you do anything else, you should watch this brain pop video on plate tectonics. That is what your reading is going to be about today. This video will probably make a lot more sense than just simply reading the chapter, either with me or to yourself. It's just easier sometimes when we have a little cartoon that's kind of cute to explain to us what it is. So this will be really helpful to watch before you actually read. Quick review, like what are tectonic plates? These are your vocabulary words for today. I'm just going to read them so you can hear what they sound like. You have seismic wave, pressure, basalt, magma, lava, basin, ocean trench, theory, plate tectonics, and exert. So again, you'll have a vocabulary quiz. You can use this to help you. It should be easy 100. But the vocabulary quiz will be on Google Forms, and you can complete that when you're done. So right now, you should stop and read the chapter. You can listen to my audio clip and read along. Just make sure you're following along in the reader. The reader is actually really colorful. Like, it has a lot of cool diagrams. So like you don't just want to listen to me read it. So read it. When you're done reading, you can come back and we can start working on commas. So today for language, we're going to focus on commas. So we use commas for a variety of different things, but today we're just going to focus on using them in 3 different situations. So in a date, an address / city and state. So whenever we're using a city and state in an address, basically. And items in a series. And by items in a series, I mean kind of like a list when we're like naming off things in a row. So first example. Commas in a date. So look at this first example sentence. It says, his little sister was born on January 2, 1992. So you probably already know this, but whenever we have a date like this, where it says January 2 or 2nd, I'd like to say that instead, 1992, there should be a comma that's placed between the day 2 and the year 1992. So the correct way to write this sentence would be, his little sister was born on January 2nd, 1992. And the reason we put a comma there is because it signifies a pause. We should take a breath in between where we have that comma. So we would say January 2nd, 1992. So you can kind of tell when you read stuff out loud where the comma should go. This is another example sentence. So example sentence 2, the Declaration of Independence is dated July 4th, 1776. So you can actually even hear where I paused, even if you didn't know the rule. I paused in between, I took a breath in between the 4, where it has 4 in 1776. And again, remember our rule for dates is that the comma should be between the day and the year. So again, in this sentence, the day is the 4th and the year is 1776. So we should put a comma in between there. Our next example, well, our next rule rather, is commas in an address / city and state. So example sentence 1. I visited my relatives in Birmingham, Alabama. So whenever we have a city and state, a comma should be placed between the city, in this case Birmingham, and the state, Alabama. If the abbreviation for Alabama had been used, the comma would still be placed between the city and state abbreviation. So that's what it would look like. So the corrected sentence looks like this. I visited my relatives in Birmingham, Alabama. And again, you can see where the comma would go because where I took a breath and I paused. Here's our example sentence. Number 2. 328 Elm Street, Washington, D.C., 20500. So again, between the city and the state, Washington, D.C., comma, and you could hear where I paused as well. So this is an example of when you would have it in an address. You want to put a comma between the city and the state. Our third example, well, our third rule is commas in a series, and you'll see this really often. So example sentence 1, tectonic plates can move apart, collide, or slide sideways between, I read that too fast because I didn't have any commas. Tectonic plates can move apart, collide, or slide sideways past one another. Okay, that sounded a lot better, but you can see why we need commas because it sounds a hot mess when you read it and you don't take a breath. So, a comma, the rule is a comma should be placed after each item in the series or list except for the last item. So a comma would go after apart and collide, but not after, or slides sideways past one another. But not after another, like you shouldn't have it there. So look at this one. It says tectonic plates can move apart, comma, collide, comma, or slide sideways past one another. So again, you can tell where we should have a comma anyway because we naturally pause and take a breath. But when we're listing things in a series, like in a row, one after the other, we use a comma to separate them. So like it doesn't happen that it sounds like a hot mess like I just sounded when I tried to read that sentence originally without any commas. So this is example sentence 2 of another sentence with commas placed correctly in a series. We went to a museum, a park, a theater, and a restaurant on our trip. So again, the commas signify a pause. They're between different ideas. And so we don't kind of like sound sloppy and a hot mess when we're reading it. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill out the Google Doc. You can do it right now or you can wait till the end of going through everything. And you're going to insert commas where they belong in each sentence. So this is what it looks like. You have examples of like the original sentence, and the second sentence is always the correct version. So if you look at this one, it says, we went to Concord, North Carolina to visit friends for spring break. So based off of the rules that I just read, I know that I'm going to put a comma between Concord and North Carolina because I always put one between city and state. Again, these ones you can see that are corrected for commas in a series and in a date. You're going to go through and put the commas in correctly. You can see that Google Docs is kind of in a couple of places. It's already like, why are you not putting a comma here? So it kind of helps you out in a couple of spots. But make sure you go through and you do all these so you can get a grade. They need to all be completed in order for you to earn your grade. Alright, so you can either do that now or wait till the end to do it. You're also going to be learning today about the suffix ly. So remember, a suffix is added to the end of the word. So the suffix ly, when it's added to the end of a word, means to do something in a blank way. So when ly is added to the end of an adjective, it becomes an adverb and describes how something was done. Examples. So if we have the adjective joyful, we say like he's a joyful person. If we add ly to joyful, and we have joyfully, we can be like he sang joyfully. So it's no longer, it's like we're not saying he is joyfully. Like that's not an adjective. It's now an adverb. It tells how something was done. So each of these is an example of an adjective. So like sad, we could describe someone or something as sad, but if we put the suffix ly on it, it tells how something was done. I could say he was really sad today, but then I could say he cried sadly. So it's telling me in what way he cried. Again, loud changes to loudly. Remember that loud is an adjective. It's describing a person, place, or thing, but loudly is describing how something was done. Now, this is a little rule that is kind of tricky. Well, it's not tricky, but you just have to know it in order to properly change and use the suffix ly. So if you add the suffix ly to an adjective that ends in a y, so the example being easy, you must first change the y to an I and then add ly. So you just have, so it looks a little bit differently when you spell it. Ooh, good Lord. Okay. So let's say that I say the test was really easy, right? I'm describing the test. But if I want to say I answered each question easily, I have to drop that y, change it to an I, and then add ly. So we just change the spelling and the way that the word looks. If we're changing it from an adjective or a word that's describing a person, place, or thing to an adverb, which is describing a verb or an action. So again, happy, I can say he was happy, but if I say he ran happily down the street, it changes the meaning. So when and these are some examples right here, you can see accidental, accidentally, loud, loudly, easy, easily, temporary, temporarily. You can look through each of these for the meanings and the example sentence. You use these all the time, you probably just don't know. When you finish, when you finish going through this, you're going to complete the suffix. Not the suffix Google Doc. I don't know why it says Google Doc. It should say Google Form. You're going to complete the Google Form. The Google Form and the vocabulary quiz are on the same Google Doc, so you're going to complete that. Make sure you click submit so you can get credit for it. Make sure you also do your commas sheet, your commas Google Doc. You need to get credit for both of them in order to be eligible to get the incentive for the pizza, to be enrolled in the pizza raffle. So make sure you're doing your best work so that you can get multiple entries.